Campbell Murdoch is the Managing Director of City FM Limited, one of the world's largest privately owned FM companies. Campbell spoke to This Week in FM about City's business expansion plans, the Net Zero Challenge, and making the FM sector more attractive to outside talent. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your FM career story.
So, my name is Campbell Murdoch and I've been involved in FM for about 15 years. I'm currently at City and I've been with City for the last 7. So, I started my first FM job with what is now Equans, back when it was Coldfleet GDF Suez, and that was my introduction to FM. And then I moved on from there to an M&E install business that was looking to get into developing an FM strategy in the Midlands, and I worked there for 4 years, and then back up to Scotland to City 7 years ago. So I didn't really plan to get into FM. It kind of happened by mistake, really, which I think is quite common from a lot of people I would speak to in FM. So I had a good friend who knew me from my previous career. So I was a sales and marketing guy, and I worked in the newspaper industry, and I had then gone on to run some businesses and get involved in the internet and different sort of media things. So my background was very much sales and marketing, and I was brought into FM to help develop sales and marketing strategies within the FM sector.
How can FM leaders make the sector more attractive to outside talent?
Well, I think the problem in FM is it's often just seen as a job, and I think as the industry matures, the challenge is really to see FM as a career. So in our own business, we're very, very focused on bringing in talent and developing talent. So I think that's a very important thing. So to bring people in and train them, whether you're doing that through apprenticeships or through skills academies, I think most people are looking at doing that. But then taking these individuals who might come in as technicians and supporting them and helping them through management development programs into maybe being supervisors or managers. So I think that the whole focus on a career path is very important. And I think organisations also probably need to showcase that, create real case studies that they can then share. Because I think culturally, when you start to get that whole thing moving in a business, people can see there is a career path and they can see people that have done it. In our business right now, that's a really, really important part of how we're trying to retain people and also develop talent.
How are you looking to grow the business into other markets?
Well, City's well known for working in retail, but we actually do work in quite a lot of other sectors. So we're involved in petrol forecourts, for example, government, logistics, health and social care. So there is actually a lot more going on in City underneath, I guess, some of the headline customers that we deal with. But I think what I would say about sectors are obviously very important in terms of how you would plan or position growth. But I think we put very big emphasis on relationships and really building trust-based relationships. So we're actually we have probably a target list of customers that we'd like to work with. So it's very important to us that we get the right customer. So we spend a lot of time looking at the market, certainly in sectors, but actually really down at customer level, looking specifically at customers. So we have I think quite well-defined targets in terms of who we would like to work with, and we obviously then in a non-sales and marketing kind of a way would look to approach and build relationships with these kind of target companies.
Please tell us about some of your notable career highlights.
Well, certainly. I've been at City now for 7 years, and it's been a fantastic place to work. It's the longest job I think I've had. I don't think I've worked anywhere for longer. So we have a very, very dynamic culture in City, and it's very, very people focused. And I think a lot of people use that language, but there's a lot of things going on in City, real tangible things that make it that way. So it's a great place to be, and there is also very, very exciting. You're talking about career highs, but we've got some really exciting customers, and personally, I've had some really, real stretch in terms of my own development, and really interesting, a lot of variety and really interesting, customer engagement. So, the whole package for me in terms of where I'm at is extremely good.
Can you tell us about some of the challenges you've faced in FM?
So I think the challenge in FM generally is that people are obviously, the whole thing is if it's not if you're doing the job really, really well, you're almost invisible, and it's when things go wrong that obviously the problems start. So I think I would say that one of the things that City does extremely well is we've really tried to split our offering into a front-end strategic bit before we get on to actually doing the job of repairing things. So we put a lot of emphasis into technology, data. We're, I think, really quite advanced in our asset strategies and different things like that. So we generally tend to set customers up in a solid way and in a forward-looking way. So that helps to take away a lot of the sort of reactive or headless chicken approach to maintenance. So I think we're very, very good at that, and that is actually amazing. When you join City, you realise that everything's quite calm, which is wasn't my experience of FM before I got there. But I think, having said that, obviously FM is a very demanding environment, and it's a very immediate environment, and it's now. And I think retail is very, particularly in that place as well. It's very, very competitive, and it's very, very high paced. So I think that in many ways drives the excitement and the engagement, and that's a positive thing. But obviously it can be challenging as well.
City FM is committed to being a net zero carbon business by 2040. How are you finding this process?
So we take the reduction in our carbon footprint very seriously at City, and I think the first point I would really make on that is that we do a lot with our customers around waste and around energy management. So I think what we've definitely discovered is that there is a lot of waste, and that can be bad for the environment, but it's also bad for the P&L. So we're very focused on trying to minimise waste, do things well and do them efficiently, and I think that has big knock-on benefits. I think also in energy, there's a lot of waste in energy, and if we can manage that in a more integrated way with FM, and we've got some really powerful case studies from our customers in the ways in which we've been able to reduce significantly energy. So that these are big commitments that we're really proactively involved in with our customers. I think in terms of the actual business though, 86% of our carbon footprint is directly generated from our fleet, for example. So that is a big area that we're looking at really proactively, because that obviously deals with a big element of the challenge. So I think that's very important that we're working with our customers on that. So it's very much of a partnership approach. So from data, we're looking at the journeys that our technicians are doing, and we're working out who we can transition to electric. Obviously there's challenges there in terms of charging and in terms of mileage, so you have to do that in partnership with the customer, but we're making good progress in terms of a sensible approach to that around fleet. And I think our next big thing then would be building. So our head office, for example, all of our electricity is now is coming from sustainable sources, and we've got a small office footprint in the UK, and we're rolling that out right now. So for us it's very much about delivering these improvements with our customers in a way that protects service and the planet, and bringing obviously all the stakeholders on the journey.